Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. And as always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Hey, I want to get into another tragic incident involving a 12-year-old or a young brother being deleted by someone due to an auto theft. Did a video about, what was it, Karan Blake a couple of days ago. He was a young brother who was like 13 years old, was deleted by another brother after, I guess, attempting to break in the car, what have you. And now we have another story out. This one's out of Colorado. And it says, deadly shooting of 12-year-old in allegedly stolen car could be complicated case. It says a man allegedly shot and deleted a 12-year-old boy in a Sun Valley neighborhood. Now, they haven't released the man's name yet, I guess because he hasn't been charged. Police say the boy was driving a stolen car from Northfield. Denver police have not said how many people were in the car, how many or who fired guns or who fired first, among other things. The owner of the vehicle tracked down that car and exchanged gunfire with those in the car, including the driver, once he located it. On Sunday, the man reported his vehicle missing from the shops at Northfield, 8340 Northfield Boulevard. Real quick, tell this, like I said, there's no OGs teaching these youngsters, and I'm not, advocating for criminal activity at all. But as you know, if those of you like myself who watched The Wire years ago, great show, something you can just pop in DVD right now and watch it, watch it if you ain't never seen it before, man. It's a great series. But one of the characters said that, there's no code. I think some of his rivals tried to shoot at him when he was taking his grandmother to church. And the youngsters, they try to brag about it. No, they didn't get him. They tried to brag. They went back to the base and bragged about it. And the OGs was like, had to check him, like, on a Sunday, and knocked it, and while his grandmother going to church. But again, like I said, it's somebody not teaching these youngsters about there's no code. So it's like on a Sunday, these kids should be in church, watching some Sunday morning cartoons, watching David and Goliath, something. But not, even hell, watching 60 Minutes with Grandma, I don't know, but not out stealing cars. Police say when he used his iPhone to track the car, it took him to West 12th Avenue and Decatur Street. That's when he approached the car, resulting in an exchange of gunfire between him and the person or people inside. Investigators said the driver of the stolen car was 12-year-old Elias Armstrong. Now, while I was reading this, I'm scrolling and I'm saying they're not showing a picture. So I do what any good broke sleuth would do. I Googled it. And when I looked this up, this boy, if my computer moved fast enough, 2 years ago, on around May 30th, they said this missing 10-year-old boy found safe, and his name was Elias Armstrong. So my question is, why was he missing? You know why that brother was missing at 10 years old? This happened in 2021. I just want to make an assumption. I would love for anybody to correct me. But I just want to say that this boy probably ran away from home, out doing some things that he had no business. And whatever he was out in the streets doing, the punishment did not fit the crime. Period. Because, like I said, if he ran away from home at 10 years old, he probably had a disturbed and troubling life, childhood, home. I would love to see his mother get up, see some kind of video where his mother get up and do some kind of statement or whatever the case, or whoever he lives with, I'm not sure. But I thought that was interesting that 2 years ago, a year and a half, well, almost 2 years ago, that this young brother was missing. And so now he's back in the news. And this just goes to, man, you just got to teach these kids at a very, very young age how to live right, man. Got to put them in activities, positive activities. They got to put them in Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, Salvation Army. Find something at school. You know what I'm saying? Get on, go to these school board meetings and demand they put some of these programs back in these schools so these kids can get off these streets while these parents are trying to work, or grandparents or whoever raised them are trying to work, get these kids doing something that the parents and the guardians are not getting charged an arm and a leg for, just so to keep their kids out of trouble. Okay, continue. After the exchange of gunfire, Elias drove off a few blocks away, and when officers located him, he was taken to the hospital. The other people in the car with him fled on foot, police said. Elias later died from his wounds at the hospital. Another thing, 12-year-old boy know how to drive. Shoot, I knew how to drive at 12, 13, but I used to drive in the country. That's how I learned. My grandmother's car is a big long road with nobody down. I go down. My dad was, first started with my dad, but probably younger than that. But, when I stayed with my grandmother when I was in junior high, whatever, high school, whatever, and she let me drive to the store, down the street or whatever, to get some practice in. Now these kids are driving to steal cars. CBS News Colorado legal analyst Raj Chauhan said this will be a very complicated criminal case. This is exactly why we don't want civilians approaching car thieves in cases like this, because something terrible can happen, says Chauhan. Well, of course, here's the problem here's the issue you got, I'm gonna say, with criminals. And actually this can go into even home life. Let's say you have kids at home who, kids are gonna try you, gonna test you. They do something wrong against your rules, and your method of punishment is a scolding or a yelling or a fussing, and that's all you're going to do. These kids are not going to respect you. They are going to continue to do what they're doing. They're going to continue to test you. Now, the problem is when you follow through with it, your emotions are going to be so high that you might enter this kid into their life. And they're going to look at you like, oh my gosh, this person that went crazy. I don't know why they got so mad. It wasn't, it wasn't even that serious. Yes, it was. It should have started back. It ain't that one little incident you do. It started a long time ago, and it should have been dealt with then. But it wasn't. So now here go the consequences. But one of my things that I say is, when it comes to people breaking the law, breaking the rules, what you have to do is take it to that next level that they think you will not take it to. Now, I'm not saying, like I say, being violent. Let's say like dealing with kids. Okay, so you take their electronics. Okay, they're going to find another way to communicate or use them electronics. They're going to say, oh, well, I got to use my computer for homework. Well, I got to use my phone for homework. Okay, use it right there. Make sure it's turned where I can see it always. Have your back to me, or whatever the case might be. And yeah, have your back to me, but that computer screen in my face. Matter of fact, you sit right here on the floor, do your homework, because you didn't do it in the back. You can come to the front and do it right here and let me see it. Oh, I need to use my cell phone. Okay, you sit right next to me and we'll do your homework together. But the problem is, some parents don't want to inconvenience themselves to train their children right. But you got to remember, you are the one who brought these children in the world, so you are responsible for them. So when they don't act right, you gotta give a punishment fitting of the crime. Again, I don't advocate, beating the child. I think a whooping should be like the last line, should be the last measure, the very last measure. Really, now I ain't saying wait till they're 13 to give them a whooping. I mean, like if they do something, continue to do something, then okay, you gotta bring the paddle or the belt out. But in the beginning, it's got to be, it could be like to do with your job. It could be like a little verbal talking to, then like a first written warning, and then a write up, and then a final write up, and then and you terminate it. It could be like that. But like I say, don't just keep talking to them, scold, not really punishing them as children. What the scriptures say: spare the rod, spoil the child. Man, you see what's happening. Y'all spoiling these children, and you see what's going on. It's still unclear who pulled the trigger first: the victim of the car theft or the people inside that car. Regardless, kids are shooting. And that's something I brought up in another one of my previous videos. When the young man said, young boy said that, I'm a kid, you know what I'm saying, don't shoot me, and the dude end up shooting him. When you in that moment and everything is going a mile a minute, how can you sit there and tell somebody how to react? Someone is still in your possession. You don't know if that person got. Most people who rob people, breaking and entering, stuff like that, they have some kind of weapon on them a lot of times. So the other incident, the 13-year-old boy, he didn't have a weapon and he got deleted. This incident, 12-year-old boy, younger than a 13-year-old boy, they had weapons. Whoever him and whoever he was in the car with, they had weapons and they shot at the car owner. So again, you can sit there and say that kids, they're children, but they don't act like it. How you suppose, and the thing about it is, it don't matter how old this person is, it don't matter the gender or the race of the person. If your life is in danger, you got the right to preserve life, to preserve your own life first. So, I mean, again, we got to reach the children while they are babies, so they do not commit these kind of acts. Continue, says the reason we have this dilemma is because a person certainly is allowed to use deadly force to defend themselves if they are reasonably believe that deadly force is about to be used on them. However, you are never allowed to use deadly force just to protect property. Yep, and that's true. But the dude did go with a gun, but like I said, but they had guns too, so who knows? It all comes down to the small details and interaction before the shots rang out, according to Chauhan. Here's what's also, I don't know how Colorado laws are, but here's another sticking point. The people that jumped up out of the car, I mean, if they find them, I mean, we'll see if they got like left evidence, fingerprints, or what have you, if they're in the system. You know that if you're committing a crime and one of your cohorts or whatever, counterparts, partners, or whatever in the crime dies in committing that crime, you guys can go to jail for their death. Like I said, I don't know how Colorado is, but some places it is like that. So that's another wrinkle. So even if they do that investigation or whatever and find out that this dude is guilty, that this guy who shot the boy, let's say he may get arrested and go to jail for it. But the people that was in the car with this young man, they'll probably end up going to jail too. Not only just for stealing the car or riding in the stolen car, but also for the death of their friend, a so-called friend. It can get very complicated. It's really going to depend on how did the car owner approach. What was said, what did the car thieves know to happen, who pulled their guns first and fired shots first. That's going to go a long way towards determining whether self-defense is in play here, explained Chauhan. And the question is, are they going to turn themselves in? It's been out like a couple of days, so I mean, whoever this young boy was with, I'm sure their parents know they was probably with him. I'm sure their parents, and if they don't, that's another thing about parenting. You need to know the kids that your child is hanging out with. I think my parents met all my friends and all my friends' parents growing up. You got to know who your kids hanging with, because you don't want your kids hanging around riffraff or people who commit crimes and, doing stuff like this. You don't want your kids hanging around that, because that ain't what you want for your children. Denver police contacted the auto theft victim who shot Armstrong at the scene. Police have not publicly identified him and he was not arrested. The case remains under investigation. The other people in the stolen vehicle ran off before police arrived, investigators said. The district attorney's office said they have not yet been presented with this case for filing. The DPD encouraged anyone with information to contact Metro Denver Crime Stoppers. So this is a fairly new case as of the 8th update today. So again, I'm just gonna say, parents, we gotta, like I say, get to our kids young. We gotta start teaching them, grooming them to do the right thing, no matter what we done in our life. And we ain't got to sit here, Amber Rose, and tell them everything that we did in our life. Because then they're going to think, well, my mama or my dad did, so I guess I can do it. They survive, I can do it. Because kids going to be mischievous. But we don't want them to be too much of a derelict to society. You feel me? So, again, because kids are going to do things. Kids will say, kids will be kids, boys will be boys. Okay. But to an extent, don't let them do grown-up stuff. Too much of this, like I said, this modern rap music. I'm quite sure he's listening to that kind of music. Music videos, whatever. They talk about nothing but, some detrimental things for our community. I'm quite sure he even bumping that. We gotta get that away from our kids. I'm telling them what they're watching on that screen. We gotta do better. Gotta get them back to Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Reading Rainbow. Like, we start young. Homeschooling is need be. Finding like a group where you can homeschool your kids, but there needs to be a change, and we have to change as a people. We can't depend on others. We can't depend on sending our kids to school and they're going to teach our kids the right from wrong. Here they barely teaching them the answers to tests. These standardized tests so the school can get funding. That's what it's come to now. So you got to do better, or should do like, back in the day, used to be some parents would drop their kids off at church and burn off. If that's what you want to do, but at least allow them to see something positive. No matter if you don't want them to think too highly of you, that's fine. That's your choice, but at least give them a chance to learn something to where it could benefit their life. But anyway, let me get out of here. Like I said, I don't want to get too much into this story. Because like I said, it's the second one I've done in like a few days. But again, what are you going to do? As an adult, how you going to sit there and decipher who's a kid and who ain't? Like these people, and I said in another video, I said in other countries, you got kids with automatic weapons at these boys' age fighting in wars for guerrillas and militias. So whether you have a gun or not, don't say what a kid can and can't do if not trained. And you have some kids with weapons, and one of them, got eternally punished because of it. Anyway, that's all I got. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment below and share it with the world. And with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.